Hello, my name is Christina Jones. This class is for anatomy, and I will be talking about the pectoral girdle, starting with the clavicle. Now, this is a posterior view. I will turn around to the anterior view, and I will somewhat lean it forward so you see the clavicle. This is the clavicle right here. You have the sternal end, which is connected to the sternum. Now you have the acromial end. Okay. Then you have, I'm going to turn it posterior so we can get a look at the scapula. Now, this is not symmetrical because on this end, it's broken. Okay, so as far as the scapula, now we're going to touch on the coracoid process. So I'm going to grab this with my hand. Since this one is broke, I can maneuver it. Now, we have two openings right here. More of the flat end is the acromion. So the other one adjacent is the coracoid process. Then we have the subscapular fossa, which will be, it's really in the inner, I can't take that off. It's in the inner side. We have the glenoid cavity, which would be the cavity that houses the humerus bone in this area right here. We have the spine. Now the spine is located on the back because if we move our shoulders a certain way, our spine does actually poke out, which is right here. Now the supraspinous fossa I'm sorry, I drew a blank as far as the supraspinous fossa. But the spine, okay, if this is the spine, the supra will be above, and the infraspinous fossa will be below. Okay, now the sternoclavicle joint and the acromioclavicle joint. Now these two joints will be the one that's connecting to the sternum. But at this time, mine is broke, so we can turn to the side that is attached. You can see how the sternum will connect to the scapula for the sternoclavicle joint and the acromioclavicle joint. Now, if we move to the arm, which is the humerus, we have the head, which is located at the top. We have the greater tubercle and a lesser tubercle. Now the greater tubercle is the ball that is protruding. The lesser tubercle, it will be the smaller end. Now that is inside towards the scapula, so it's medial towards the body, so it's unable to see. Then we have the deltoid tuberosity, which is a groove that will be on the side. Now the deltoid, that's where the deltoid muscle would connect. Then we have the medial condyle, which will be, let's turn this around. The medial condyle, which would be towards medial towards the body, which is the medial epicondyle. Then we have the lateral, which would be on the outside, lateral epicondyle. Then we have the coronoid fossa. Now the coronoid fossa is a groove in there. Now this, what goes there is receives the coronoid process of the ulna direct flexion of the arm. So when the arm is flexing, if we can get my arm turned around here, somehow this is not anatomical position, something's twisted. Maybe the arm is backwards. There we go. And then this is a little twisted here as well. But I think I twisted the whole thing. What I'm trying to show you is when the arm flexes. That's a flex, this is an extension. Okay, Okay, now the capitum, this articulates with the radius, and then you have the trochlear, which articulates with the radial notch. Now the operculum fossa is where the humerus and the operculum fossa. So basically, it's in the back of the arm. That's the part where we would call our elbow. So this area in here. Now, for our forearm, we're going to start with the ulna first. Let's turn this around. Okay, so the radius is in the middle, closest to the midline, and the ulna is on the outside. Okay? Now we did discuss the cranium, which is the elbow, the coracoid process, the styloid process. The styloid process is always a point. It's a point, a sharp point. We also have another one in our skull around the acoustic meatus, but as a sharp point behind. We did go over the radius head and the radial tuberosity, the styloid process. So down to the wrist, okay. So we have a lot of fused bones here. My skeleton is kind of hard to differentiate, but I would definitely point to the best of my ability to show what is what. So as far as we have the trapezius, which would be on this side right here. We have, the trapezium, then the trapezoid, then the capitate, then the hamate will be up here, then the pisiform, triquetrum, lunate, and scaphoid. Okay, and the joints for the forearm, the joint for the forearm is the humerus and the radius and the ulna. Now, which bone forms a joint with the pollux? Now, is the interphalangeal joint. Pollux is your thumb. So that is the joint here that will form. Now we're on to the pelvic girdle, which is this area here. So we have the accipitable, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Now this is where the femur head sits in those sockets. Then we have the pubic symphysis. This is protruding portion right here. Then we have the obitular foramen, those holes here. We also have the iliac crest, which is above here. We have the greater sciatic notch. Now, as far as the greater sciatic notch, I don't know if we can kind of detect that because it's back here. Let's try to get it out. It's like right here. Then we have the ischial spine, which is the protruding little portion right there. We have the ischial tuberosity, which is this region down here. Okay, so now we're on to the femur. We're going to turn back to anatomical position, and we're going to start with the head of the humerus. Move down to the greater trochanter. See, we have a greater, which is at the top, and then a lesser, which would be more towards the bottom. And we have the adductor tubercle. Now the adductor means to bring together. So that will be located on the posterior end. This area right here. Then we have the lateral epicondyle, which is more away from the body because this is medial, this is away. And we have the medial and lateral epicondyle. So medial will be closer, lateral will be on the other side. And then lastly, we have the patella. That is this bone where this yellow tag is. I will lift it up and remove it. It's very hard to see the tag. And this is the patella bone here. Okay, now we have the tibia, and we're going to talk about the medial and the lateral. So again, anything that is lateral will be on the outside, medial will be on the inside. So as you know, the bigger bone is the tibia, the smaller one is the fibula. Just to clear that up, the tibial tuberosity. So if it is the tibial tuberosity, now we are looking from a anterior portion, which will be right here. Then we have medial malleus, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. We have the proximal and distal tibiofibular joint. Okay, where there's a joint is where it's a connection. Now, the fibula has a head, and then the lateral malleus, which is down here, so to a point. Then we have the tarsals, which is the foot. Okay, so here's the foot. Let's see if we can bend it. There we go. Okay, so now this bone, it forms lateral form. The ankle joint articulates with the calcaneus. Now the calcaneus is the ball of your foot. Then we have the cuboid, which is on the pinky side. This is the pinky side, so this bone in the front. We have the navicular, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. That is on the big toe side, so it's more medial towards the body. Then we have the medial, the intermittent, and the lateral cutiform bones. So you have the medial closer to, intermittent in the middle, lateral, okay, bones. And then we have the metatarsals, the phalanges. And lastly, we have the hallux. Okay, now this again was the appendicular skeleton. Thank you.